I love organza bags. Next to tulle, they're my most favorite thing. I've got little ones and I've got quite big ones. I like these for my grapes, and I'm also using them for, I'll cover tomatoes with them too. Like when I've got a large set going. Also covering some pomegranates, so maybe we get some of those this year, and the birds can have some, we can have some. So these little ones are my super success for my strawberries. So I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. I've got an older video that talks about the first time I had success with strawberries, and pardon the bird poop on these. Being under the tree has its pluses and its minuses. So in that video, I was working on a bed that was in ground, and so a lot of the advice and tips I gave for that was a little bit different. And I tried growing strawberries before in containers and just really hadn't had much success. But that's the thing I love about these bigger bags, is these 10-gallon bags enable me to plant just about anything. I probably even put a small tree in here. So I bought a 6-pack of plants, and I must have had some losses because I only ended up, with these 3 plants. But this plant here particularly produced several runners in the fall, and so I just dropped those runners into different parts of the bag. So this was a runner, and this was a runner, that was a runner, and there's another runner that was over here. So the one plant made, 4 other plants, which was really cool. And if I had an idea that if it were to make more runners during that time, then I was just gonna put another container beside him, and then once the runner got established, I could just clip it off and then move that plant somewhere else. So my super success that I'm having with strawberries this year is I attribute to the organza bags. Now, I gave tips for watering less in a raised bed with strawberries, but I do water these on the same cycle that I do all of my grow bags. So what I do is, this is the beginning of the strawberry, obviously. So what I try to do this weekly, but sometimes I get off track. So once all the petals fall off and you're left with, just the baby strawberry, this is the time that I like to go in and get one of my organza bags and just cover up the berry and go down just a little way below, to there. And then when you close it, it doesn't hurt the stem, it doesn't bother the stem. You can actually still move the berry in there, but it protects the berry completely. And it doesn't just protect it from the birds. This is a nice fat one down here. Ooh, this one needs to be picked. It's probably overly ripe. It looks really gorgeous. So it's not just protecting it from the birds, but it's also, look at that one, that's a nice one turning red. But it's also protecting it from all the little bugs that would be, because sometimes when we're growing strawberries, because they have a tendency to just kind of lay on the soil or lay on the ground, then a lot of times roly-polies or other things like that have a tendency to eat your berries. So like I said, this is kind of a short and simple, but what I think is a handy tip for increasing your success with strawberries. And this, I would say, is increasing your success, after they start producing. And before, I always have to, be the bearer of bad news when I tell you that if you bought your strawberry plants, and sometimes I even bag 2 together because it's a pretty good size bag. But this one's already kind of getting pretty good size itself. So unfortunately, nurseries, big box stores, they sell strawberries in the spring and they sell them in the late fall. And in the spring is when we all think about strawberries. I grew up going to strawberry patches when I was a kid and picking, a big mess and then my mom and her friend making jams with them. So we think about strawberries in the spring. We don't think about them in the fall. But for us here in Arizona, and probably most places, the best time to really plant strawberries is in the fall. Hey, little buddy. The first time he was here and I was out here doing strawberries was the day that I taught him how to chew a stick, so he would stop trying to get strawberry leaves. So starting them in the fall gives them ample time to get established root-wise. And in that first time you plant them, they're probably going to make some flowers. And you're going to get all excited in the fall and think, oh, fall strawberries. And I'm going to have fall strawberries because these are going to make strawberries again in the fall for me because I've got a plant. But in the fall, when I planted these, really, you know, it was like one of those random things where I was at Summer Winds with everybody in the seed group, and we're just kind of going around crazy shopping, and I bought this 6-pack, and you know, I probably let it sit around for a little too much, trying to decide what I was going to do with them, because I was of the mind that I needed to put them in a bed, and at the end I just put them in a bag. But any of the little buds that came out, I just pinched those off. We didn't try to experience strawberries, and I think that's what pushed especially this plant to really go into making runners. And so if you can get your plants in the fall and you can get that runner production going, especially, you know, when we have really warm falls and winters, unlike, you know, all of our friends elsewhere, then you know, you've got a chance to have some really nice berries come in the spring. And if you ever, if you're on Instagram and you follow the Epic Gardener, he's got a pretty funny little clip out there about going to the grocery store and what a ripoff it is that you can, you know, get strawberries for $3.99 a little container, but you can spend hundreds of dollars to get like 5 in your own backyard. So there's a little bit of truth to that. I mean, obviously right now I'm not picking, you know, bushels at a time of strawberries, but we get some snacks, and as you can see, if I'm paying attention, a lot of these are becoming ready closer together than you know, one would think. So if I stayed on top of it, I'd probably have a lot more strawberries to pick. And but these bags also keep me mindful of it. And so another couple things I would remind you about strawberry planting in the fall is that strawberries are pretty big feeders. They like certain kind of soils, but that's again covered in that video that I did back in 2020. So I'm not going to go all into that, but I will say that they really benefit from getting a lot of nitrogen when they first get going in life. So I like to mix in some blood meal, and you know, of course I plant them with my fertilizers and all that good stuff, and try to keep them fertilized. I'm not the best at staying on that schedule. That's why I put so much into, gotta move my seat a little bit. That's why I put so much effort into my soil, is so if I get a little off track in my feeding cycles, then my soil and the compost and all those goodies that I add are, you know, doing some work for me all the time. But I definitely would say that starting early on with a good boost of nitrogen is good. And then if you get into, you know, the season and you don't feel like you're getting a lot of production, definitely want to probably go back in with either a basic fertilizer or some low-key nitrogen source. Low-key meaning it's not going to burn it. So something like that would be maybe some alfalfa pellets. A lot of people use alfalfa in the garden. I know of gardeners that put alfalfa pellets in the hole, you know, before they plant their tomatoes. So it's kind of a slow release thing, especially when they're pellets. So you could make a tea out of alfalfa pellets, and that would be looks like I can't do this, but I thought I could get that other one in, but it's attached to another plant. So you could soak the alfalfa pellets in some water. I think it's 1 cup to a gallon. And you do that overnight, and then you can, you know, give your strawberries a dose of that. I try really, really hard not to get the leaves wet. Seems like that's something that always used to upset them. And the next thing I would say is that of all the things that I'm gonna be moving into the sun here in the next week or so, once I get on top of that, I'm probably gonna leave these strawberries right here because I can get them going good for me, but what usually happens or inevitably happens is it gets hot and they start getting burned up, and then obviously they stop making strawberries as well. There's a butte right here. So when we get done with this, I'm gonna have to come pick strawberries because we got at least 5. Whoop, there's another one over there that we could get into a little bowl. And then what happens is, you know, they go right into the mouth. So back to my point is that I'm gonna keep these here, especially for the next month or so. And then once we get past that point, I'm going to move them somewhere where they definitely are gonna get shade after, say, 2 or 3 o'clock. So a good example of that would be over there, somewhere over there, because that's usually what devastates them, is the late afternoon sun. And so my biggest hope, and you know, stuff happens, there's another word that I use for that, and it's my most common saying, because we take a lot of things in life so tragically. You know, we make mistakes, and we make mistakes because stuff happens. You know, we play a role in that, but a lot of times it's just life and stuff happens. So stuff could happen, and I might not be able to keep them going, but I really, really love the thought of keeping these going, and then in the fall pushing out some more runners that then I can continue to make more plants myself. So if I have, you know, what's really 5 plants over there, 6, 7. So I got an extra plant in. I lost 3 when I bought them, and then I gained 4, so out of runners. So if I can do that next year also, then, you know, that'll be really good. You know, this will be akin to saving seeds. I'm just saving the plant so that I can continue runner protection. See, this one's, a lot of them, this is how great the production is. And instead of just making 1 per stem, you know, they're getting to where they're making, that's 3 and that's 3 there, 3 per stem. So I have to wait for them to get bigger. And something that's cool is that as they make more buds, they all get taller and taller. The strawberries, the stems all reach out, and I think that's quite fascinating. So most of these are still pretty itty bitty. There's one I could get. And then when I come along and harvest, I just usually snip it somewhere here and just take the whole bag, and then the bag goes back up to the patio and it's ready for the next time that we bag strawberries or bag something else. So again, to kind of wrap up, what I'm considering my super success here is using the bags, planting in the fall. Well, I'll go in order. So planting in the fall, really making sure that I get a good nitrogen source in when I plant in the fall, encouraging runners in the fall by popping off any berries. Now I won't do that this fall. I'm only going to do that with new plants that I plant in the fall. So encouraging runners for multiple plant growth, and then when the spring comes around, focusing on getting my berries bagged. You could also, if you had a big space, you could just cover the whole bed with tulle. That's what I did at the other house, but this is easy to me, and anytime I do some chore like this, it's very therapeutic for me. I really like to zone out. Sometimes that's why the other day, and when we were taking those kale plants out of the bed, you know, I really got off the video because I like getting into my work, you know, and sometimes I run out of stuff to talk about because I'm just so, it's almost meditative. I'm so into the zone of what I'm doing that I don't have anything to say, you know. I'm just really in a mode. So then, like I said, bag them up in the spring. If you don't notice that you're getting continuous production, maybe boost up. They really like a lot of organic matter. So if you don't start them with a lot of compost, be sure. These have been topped back off with compost also in the spring. So they started with really rich matter, and in the spring they got another boost. Sorry about that. I think when I when I boosted them, I also gave them some of Tony's magic mix. So that is my good news on strawberries, and I'm wishing you super success, hopefully right now, and if not, then I definitely need to make a video next fall to remind you to go get your strawberries and follow, oh, see, there's another baby, and follow these handy tips so that you'll be busting with super sweet, the truest taste in strawberries. That's the thing to me. It's not just the sweet, but they taste like that taste that, you know, strawberries are supposed to have. Like the smell of strawberry, that's the taste that you taste when you grow your own strawberries. So it's worth it, friends, and you should definitely just do it. Here, I'll just pop one of this one off with my fingers. Open it up. This one's got kind of like a little weird growth pattern. Look at that. So perfect. I know some people in the South that'll just eat it with the stem and all. Just like picking them when I was a little girl. That one actually could have stayed just a little bit longer. Just a little bit tart. Because I find that you want no white left. See how that white's there? That one probably had a little white that I couldn't see. But when all the white's gone, that's when they're for sure. See, that still got white. That's when they're for sure the sweetest. So, happy strawberries.